It's now my great pleasure to welcome our home team, South Africa Bioimaging and ABIC. And as they come up, so Lisa, Karen, and Mike, of course, you know them. I just wanted to very briefly indicate as a PI, and of course, we have as a topic training and empowerment. I would just like to indicate the seriousness that actually we are dealing with in South Africa and the responsibility we have in training masters and PhD students. You may have seen as you landed, Khayelitsha, Kayamandi, the rural areas. Very often my students, masters and PhD students, send their entire bursary back home and live on nothing because they are the first for that degree. And so, of course, it's our responsibility to then bring in the tools and techniques like imaging to make that happen and to maximize. And when we then see the students graduating, it's, of course, just most fantastic to have made that impact through the technology. So I just wanted to highlight this. This is the context we see here, of course, with us and UCT, the well-funded environment. And as Andres said, of course, the reality is that just 2 hours outside, it looks very, very different. And that's our role through South Africa Bioimaging to reach those regions. So with that, I would like to introduce my dear colleague and friend Lisa, who will speak about SABI.
Hi, everyone. Alison said it was very difficult to speak after Graham. I find it very difficult to speak firstly after Oliver and now after the introduction from Ben. So let's see. Okay. Oh, that's a bit fast. So I'm going to tell you a bit about South Africa Bioimaging and what we've accomplished in a year's time. I've been on the stage last year, and I've told you there was quite a bit of an incubation period in SABI where not much had to happen. And I would like to tell you that a few things happened. Right. Firstly, we so not yet training, but we've launched our website. We promised last year we're going to do a website. We're going to grab people, get them excited about South Africa Bioimaging, and we've had our first meeting in March this year. And it might sound small, but we had 40 people in that meeting for longer than an hour. The meeting was set for an hour. I think everyone stayed for an hour and a half. People were so excited. And it wasn't just Africans. You'll see Yara's face there, Jean Salamira, I can't remember the other international people. We had the industry excited. Everyone is very excited to be part of this. So we're very excited about that. The website, I'll talk about the map a little bit later. It's just one of our something we're very proud of. So I'm Lisa Engelbrecht from Stellenbosch University, who is the closest facility to this venue. You'll see our facility later on. Right, so training. South Africa Bioimaging we haven't done any of our own training events yet. And I would almost want to say it's not on the cards yet. We are resource limited in terms of staffing and personnel and so on. We do not want to divide the South African community to say, come to SABI, do SABI training instead of doing ABIC. We would rather feed the capacity, human capacity, in saying, let's join ABIC, let's join that training. I'm on the training education group for ABIC. So we are more focused on linking people to the right places instead of just copying what other people are doing. So just to say that there are no events that SABI specifically is organizing. We're trying to promote whatever is there. Something else is there is actually some of our members are doing, oops, just want to go back quickly. Some of our members are actually doing great work. There is a lot of training in South Africa. For example, initiative called AFNMIC. The northern side of Africa, of South Africa, has been actively promoting a course called AFNMIC, where they train the rest of Africa. A lot of people join, and we're now promoting their work as well. We've been some moderators on this course. But then we also have a lot of partners in industry, and they do a lot of work in South Africa to train. We actually, both Karen and I had to do another that you might not know of. Just before this week, last week, we had to organize a image analysis training as well. So we have back-to-back workshops. Luckily, we've had the team from Thermo Fisher was very good. But just to tell you that our industry partners are very active in South Africa to do the training, and we promote that. From SABI's side, what we do want to do is to create a platform on our website to share resources. It's easy to say, okay, go on YouTube, go follow the Europeans, etc. But we do actually find, we often have to find ways of doing our research. For example, typical, a method that we do often, and we want to share that our users know that we can do, not can do, but there's resources, go follow the little protocol that we also put on the web. The bottom one I'm actually quite proud of. This is a student that constantly tell me how hard she had to work to figure out how to get a pellicle biofilm onto a stub, or not a stub, on a slide so that we can image it. And I told her, let's make a video. And 6 months later, someone else asked me, do you know how to how to put a biofilm onto, he doesn't know how we're going to image it. And I was like, haha, we're going to do a video. You can have a look. So we produce things in South Africa that we just need to promote and show and make available to our whole community. So that's mostly SABI's point, is to put resources on our website. So the goal of SABI in terms of training and everything, we want to build a comprehensive resource for imaging scientists in South Africa. We want to encourage this sharing of the knowledge across the whole of South Africa. If you've optimized the protocol, please make it available to all of us and share. And then also making sure that all of the training initiatives in South Africa is visible, so that I found out of AFNMIC about 5 years after it started. So SABI needs to make sure that everyone knows about the initiatives that are available already. Right, this is my last, no, not my last slide. Sorry. So what have you been surprised? We have so many ideas, and I'm sure the community knows that time is of the utmost importance. We do not have the time to bring those ideas across in 1 year. So it might seem little so far, but already we're very proud to have hosted this event. It delayed a few of the developments we've planned. Hopefully then next year, when we don't have meetings of EOE every week, we'll promote more of these resources. What we are very, very proud of is, or not proud of, thankful for, is we have incredible buy-in from the international partners. The France Bioimaging immediately made staff exchange available. You've seen Yara and people on our meetings. So we definitely have the support of GBI, and that is incredible. That gives us the energy to move on and continue. What help do we need? I don't know if we need help, but advice maybe. How do we get these people to actually buy in, the South Africans to buy into our mission? It's been a bit slow. I'm going to guess that everyone's time is the limitation, but we do need to get more and more people. 2 or 3 or 4 people can't do this by themselves. I do want to tell you about something else that we worked really hard on this year, is to actually connect the facilities in South Africa. For a very long time, we haven't been connected. We didn't know what the other facilities do. So this map is on our website, and each of these points is a link to an imaging facility. We didn't know that they are all there. And we've had, in June, we decided, it does look like we're only 4, but there were, I can't remember how many, but almost every facility that is on the map was represented in this meeting. And we started discussing, what is it that keeps us back? What can we celebrate? What is going to take us forward? So the conversations have started, and it is really, really great that we feel proud that we started making these connections, making friends across South Africa. You'll see we are doing UCT and Stellenbosch University work together very well, but often the North and the South worked separately, but now there's a lot more connection between North and South of South Africa. So that we are proud of. We're busy, the final point is we're busy with the facility survey to find out what is it that the facilities need to be more sustainable, what is difficult, what's not difficult, what can we celebrate, etc. So the plan is, if we get the team together, to hopefully do a landscaping publication fairly soon in the next few months, so that we can show what is going on in facilities in South Africa and where do we need to go as South Africa Bioimaging and the imaging facilities, where should we go? And that is final. Yes. Thank you very much.
Oh, so I gave Lisa a task earlier, and she's just bounced it right back to me. So a key thing that SABI and I guess ABIC, with our presence in South Africa, are doing is co-hosting from Sunday, because Lisa's right, we've lost our minds and gone back to back to back to back, a facilities management workshop in partnership with GBI. And that's a key thing, that through these sort of discussions, specifically the SABI and through ABIC, that we're aware there is a need locally. And I think it's the first training of its kind probably on the continent, because up until now, and you'll see on the map that I show shortly, there's not a lot of facility infrastructure, and it's not very well staffed. So the training has just not been available and accessible up until now. So yes, that's a key SABI activity. I'm going to, can you switch slides to the ABIC one, number 9? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on with ABIC, or the African Bioimaging Consortium. And while the slides come up, I'll preface this with, I'm not going to go into detail with all the activities that ABIC has going on. This will be the 3rd ABIC talk I give this week. So I'm really focusing just on sort of the training and what we're thinking about with regards to training. And a little bit of synthesis, rapid synthesis on the spot, given that we wrapped up our own meeting on Tuesday. Okay, cool. So hence the title, Emerging Training Efforts. So just a brief summary for those a little bit less familiar with ABIC, or the African Bioimaging Consortium. We're a Pan-African network across the country with the focus on empowering the African bioimaging community to support science that needs to happen in Africa. So promoting microscopy, connecting researchers, building the critical mass to empower dialogue and advocacy, open to everyone, with the idea of enhancing the impact and sustainability of new and existing initiatives, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel and do everything ourselves. So just to give you an idea of who we are and where we are, we have grown overwhelmingly fast over the last 2 years. We started with 18 researchers on a Zoom call in March of 2021. And from our sort of community map that people can contribute their own information to, we're now over 262 researchers across 22 countries on the continent. Something that I want to highlight here, wrong button, highlight here is that we're predominantly students and actual research scientists, and some staff scientists and core facility staff. And that's a reflection of the roles and the infrastructure that is there on the continent. And that means that aside from the facility management workshop, which we're proud and excited to be involved in, because that's already been mentioned, what I'm going to talk about now is primarily training of students and scientists. We probe the community every now and then to get their input on what they perceive as key challenges. And this was input immediately in the lead up to this meeting from our travel awardees coming to attend our community meeting. And what I want to highlight is this was distilled information when we asked them what are the 3 key challenges to doing microscopy in Africa. Distilled out the key challenges you would expect: cost, training, expertise, knowledge dissemination. And really, if we expanded that a bit more, it's a lack of skills, lack of access to training, and lack of awareness and opportunities around what microscopy is and what training is out there. So that's something we already knew, but it's important that we know that that is still an ongoing challenge. So where do we fit in Africa, given that, and this tells you a little bit about how we do what we do. There is a lot going on in Africa, and some of these are activities that we are already involved in with regards to training and exposure with regards to microscopy. The key that many of you will have heard about is the all cost covered workshop that we've run now twice in Cape Town, Imaging Africa. Lisa's already mentioned AFNMEC that we partner with. We heard from BioRTC earlier in the week that they run their own summer schools and workshops in partnership with Trend. All of the well-capacitated universities in South Africa and across Africa have their own workshop programs that they try to push through. And many of us would have heard about the Africa Microscopy Initiative, which has taken Imaging Africa under its umbrella as its key training component, along with the Open Access Lab that you all saw last night. So there's a lot going on in Africa with regards to training and exposure, but we formed ABIC aware that there was a gap between all the opportunities being made available and researchers still remaining isolated and struggling to access information around there. So that's context. And what that means is that all of our key activities come through community. And a key component of that then is that we have our community-led working groups and action teams. These have focused on topics that have been identified by the community as key. And given the topic of this talk, I'm going to focus on the work of our training and education working group led by Lisa. So I get to stand up after Lisa and tell you about the work Lisa's done, along with Mai, who's now at HHMI Janelia at the Advanced Imaging Center there. So let me, so there you go. So briefly, because again, many of you would have heard us talking about this because this has been going on for about 18 months now. What this working group opted to do is develop a train the trainers workshop or course curricula specifically for African scientists, African specific contexts, examples, building a material in a way that would be very accessible to our African researchers. And they've done a fantastic job. They spent just over a year putting together a key introductory level curriculum covering an introduction to microscopy all the way through to image analysis. And something that was quite fun to add on was conceptual training about how to think about planning imaging experiments. And they ran this as a test run, just as an online workshop to see, like, does this work? How do people think about it? And they had an amazing amount of engagement, over 190 online participants giving fantastic feedback and coming from a range of self-reported imaging experience and backgrounds. And again, with coming from a spread of lecturers, students, and others as trade representatives, a few members of this community, and I think some university leadership. But a key, so this was exciting. And then the working group opted to, or started working on the next level, the intermediate curriculum, again, focusing on just some slightly more advanced components. And training within ABIC very quickly realized that we were coming against a roadblock. And there were two things that happened related to this working group. One is that we realized as a community that many of us did not have the own solid foundation to significantly contribute to building curricula to train others in this. So the community itself needs more training. The other is in wanting to build a train the trainers workshop. As soon as the community decided to engage with other existing initiatives around this, you heard about Claire's fantastic workshop that she ran in July in Montreal in July this year. I was very excited. I was going to be going to this workshop in Canada to join four other of my community members. I was traveling all the way to Canada to meet Nigerians and Kenyans, and I think there was another Cameroonian there. And I was the only one who eventually had a visa to go. Everyone else was denied a visa. And that is a huge challenge. That is a massive roadblock. And Claire and I were working on it, so that's work in progress. But that means that that needs to be reconsidered in terms of how we do this. So I'm just going to keep talking. Aside from the working group, we're also aware that we want to build capacity of researchers in the community as in professional development or soft skills. And we started this with an application writing workshop. We did this in partnership with the AIC at Janelia for when the first call for applications coming to the AMI Imaging Center went out. We worked with them to host a workshop. It was actually a series of 4 online events to really try and work with interested potential applicants in developing a project, understanding the call, understanding what needed to be sent in. And the AIC worked incredibly hard on this and really helped develop some fantastic applications that came in. As we engage with the community, we keep showing this QR code and the animations of it backwards here. But the question that we keep asking the community is essentially, what other topics do you want some training around with regards to soft skills and professional development? And feedback so far that we've gotten has been around things like negotiation, speaking to policymakers, some NIH grant writing proposals, budgeting on grants. And then we consistently get actually this, if I were to plot this, this would be the biggest peak. For soft skills, we want confocal techniques and image analysis, which means, and I realize time's up, I'm going to speed through this. In our focus in trying to build the community, we're still not yet meeting the need for core training and interest in training. So what we've recently done is try to update. So this is an interim updated mission statement. But I want to highlight the third bit, that we now need to intentionally focus on helping our community access new and existing training initiatives. So if they're there, and there is a lot out there, we spent 2.5 days hearing from the community how they want training, and then having community and trade representatives coming up and going, here it is. There's just a disconnect between being aware that it's out there and actually accessing it. And that's a gap that ABIC needs to fill. But also looking at, if it's not there, what needs to be done. So this is the rapid synthesis from our meeting in terms of us looking at now building a roadmap for boosting access to training, whether it's new or existing. And something that we haven't yet really defined, I think, for ourselves is what the difference between training, education, and awareness is, and how we funnel that. Trade representatives keep saying, you say training, what do you mean? Do you want equipment training? Do you want science training? Do you want experiment training? So we've tried to distill this as oversimplification. There's a lot of interrelationship, but perhaps training might be, how do we use the technology? Literally, kind of what button do you press when, versus how and why does the technology work? Some of the fundamentals that go into that, and how to use that technology for good science. And then that awareness of what is out there, what can it do for my science and other sciences, and how, where, and when can it be accessed? And we need work on all of these. So going ahead, we're conscious of this. We're conscious there's a lot out there. We have a key aversion to duplication of effort, but we also know that we need to grow representation of our community. So there's going to be some necessary duplication of effort so that we have that representation. In this process, we need to build partnerships to leverage what is already there on the continent and around the world to build into what is on the continent, really with ultimately a focus on maximizing the access and impact of any efforts that do go into this. So this is my last slide. Some of you will have seen a very similar slide before, where I acknowledge all the support and encouragement that we as a new community have received from the global community out there. Now this slide is a consider yourselves forewarned. We got to do some internal organization and planning, and then expect invitations from us to partner directly with us in training and education, however those may be defined, as well as helping us build that awareness and necessary storytelling so that we can help our community know what is out there. And a lot of that, I think, is going to be some mentorship as well. So get ready. Thank you, everyone.